What if I told you there was a food, yes, a food, that's not only gorgeous and delicious, but has been scientifically shown to help lower blood pressure naturally?
Welcome to the Ultra Healthy Now podcast, where your journey to feeling younger, sexier, and more energized begins. Dr. Nicole Srednicki, who specializes in high-performance health, will dive into practical, actionable tips and strategies that can transform your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Join us as we uncover the secrets to living a healthier, happier life, mind, body, and spirit. Because true health, beauty, and happiness start on the inside.
Let me ask you something personal. What's the one thing you know you should be paying attention to, but kind of avoid unless you absolutely have to? Hello, and welcome to Ultra Healthy Now, the weekly podcast where we dive into the journey of maximizing your health potential. I'm your host, Dr. Nicole Srednicki, founder of Ultra Healthy Human, where we specialize in high-performance health for high-performance people. It's no wonder you don't pay attention to this. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't scream. It doesn't send you urgent text messages. But behind the scenes, it's one of the most silent, the most dangerous predictors of our health. High blood pressure or hypertension is often called the silent killer, and for good reason. It quietly damages the arteries, your brain, your heart, and your kidneys until one day you're facing a major health crisis. But what if I told you there was a food, yes, a food, that's not only gorgeous and delicious, but has been scientifically shown to help lower blood pressure naturally? And what if I told you that food could be a part of your routine starting today? We're talking about beets. Bright, bold, and bursting with heart-healthy compounds. And today, we're diving into all of it. What blood pressure really is, what causes it to go haywire, how beets can help, and what the latest science says. Please note, blood pressure is not something to take lightly. If your blood pressure is high, you need to consult with a doctor to evaluate if diet is enough or other measures are required. But to start this story, I want to introduce to you Lisa. Lisa is 47. She runs a marketing firm, juggles 14 employees, takes care of her aging mom, and somehow still finds time to meal prep, sometimes. When she came to me, she wasn't sleeping. She had constant headaches. She felt foggy. She said, "I think I'm stressed." Her blood pressure was 144 over 92. That's not just stress. That's stage 2 hypertension. She refused medication. She said, "There's got to be something else I can do." Now, as a functional medicine doctor, I often say prescriptions are a last resort. But in certain scenarios, like extremely high blood pressure, sometimes we need to start with a med and then work our way back off of it. Why? Because this is something that can be life-threatening. But since Lisa refused, we started with education. I explained what blood pressure is and why it matters. Your blood pressure measures the force of blood pushing against the artery walls. You'll often hear of two numbers, the systolic, which is the top number of the blood pressure. This is the pressure when your heart beats. And then the diastolic, which is the bottom number. And that's the pressure when your heart rests between beats. So if we look at one of the electronic monitors, the systolic is the 106, and then the diastolic is the 63. So you can see that this person had great blood pressure. They did not have hypertension. And then often these monitors will show you your heart rate. So their heart rate was 62. So normal blood pressure is under 120 over 80. Elevated is 120 to 129 systolic and over 80 diastolic. High blood pressure, which is stage 1, starts at 130 over 80, and stage 2 is 140 over 90 and above. Now, here's what high blood pressure actually does in your body. It wears down artery walls, making them stiff and narrow. It forces your heart to work harder. Hello, heart failure risk. And it damages your kidney filtration. And all of this can increase the risks of Alzheimer's and dementia. And it's not just the numbers, it's how your body moves blood, oxygen, and nutrients, everything. And if you're someone like Lisa or many of us, balancing work, family responsibilities, it's easy to dismiss symptoms like fatigue, headaches, or even anxiety. But those could be signs that your blood pressure is creeping up. So here's your first call to action. Write down this or take a mental note. When was the last time you had your blood pressure checked and what was the number? So, what pushes those numbers up? Chronic stress. So, your body stays in that fight or flight mode, and slowly it will cause your blood pressure to go up, sometimes acutely. High sodium diets, especially processed foods, sedentary lifestyle, poor sleep, hormonal changes. So, women, when you start to go through menopause, or men that have low testosterone, this can actually affect your blood pressure. Sometimes there are genetic predispositions. Smokers, your blood pressure is going to go up. Alcohol use, insulin resistance, and inflammation in your body. It's like running your car engine at red line day after day. Sooner or later, something gives. And here's the thing most people don't realize. Nutrient deficiencies can play a role too, especially magnesium, potassium, and nitric oxide precursors. So let's talk nature's blood pressure whisperer. Let's talk about this secret weapon, beets. Now, beets aren't just another health trend. They are one of the most studied natural interventions for blood pressure. They're high in dietary nitrates, not to be confused with nitrites, which are used in processed meats. Those are a different story. Bad news. In vegetables like beets, dietary nitrates are converted by your body to nitric oxide. And nitric oxide, it's like a spa treatment for your blood vessels. It relaxes them, opens them up, and reduces resistance. The result? Lower blood pressure. So let's talk about some of the science behind it. In 2017, looking at 43 randomized controlled trials, they found that beetroot juice significantly reduced both systolic and diastolic blood pressure. The effects were strongest in people who drank it for more than 14 days, and even more so if they had pre-existing conditions. Now, here's the twist. They found that the higher the dose of beet juice led to better results. But interestingly, it wasn't always just about nitrate content. That means other compounds in the beets may contribute too, like betalains and polyphenols. In 2024, another study focused on hypertension in patients, so patients who already had high blood pressure. Daily beetroot juice, 200 to 800 milligrams of nitrates, led to 5.31 mmHg drop in blood pressure. So that's where we would see it would go from 124 to 119. And this drop, even though it's just 5 points, can cut stroke risk by 10 to 15%. Other articles published in 2024 and 2025 further confirmed this, that regular beet juice can help, but it's not a miracle on its own. It works best when combined with a healthy lifestyle. So why beets are better than other nitrate-rich foods? Yes, there are many foods that contain nitrates like spinach, arugula, lettuce, and celery, but beets have one of the highest nitrate concentrations and are easier to consume in juice form, which means more efficient delivery and better consistency. Also, beets have fiber, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory properties, which help to reduce oxidative stress, a huge factor in hypertension. About 8 to 16 ounces per day of beet juice has been kind of the concentration that has been studied a lot. And raw beet juice and fresh beetroot powder are the highest in nitrates. And then think of it like this. Spinach is like a steady employee. Beets are like a rock star CEO. Both are good, but one brings more to the table. Now, something else to be aware of with beet juice, it does have sugar. So if you are a pre-diabetic or you have diabetes, you may want to steer clear of beet juice because it can contain around 20 grams of sugar per serving. But alternatively, some beet powders have about 1 gram of sugar. So, how long does it stay in your body? When you consume beetroot juice, nitric oxide levels start to rise in just 2 to 3 hours, and then blood pressure begins to drop within 3 to 6 hours, and the effects can last up to 24 hours. But the key is consistency. Like brushing your teeth, it only works if you do it regularly. And while it's helpful for people with stage 1 or borderline hypertension, it may not be strong enough alone for those in stage 2 or 3 without other interventions. So that's why you should consult with a doctor. What are the signs of high blood pressure? That's the thing. A lot of people don't recognize high blood pressure. Sometimes you don't have any signs or symptoms at all, but sometimes headaches, especially early in the morning, shortness of breath, nosebleeds, fatigue, vision changes, or brain fog. And as I said, some people feel nothing. And so this is why also routine monitoring is critical. How do we identify blood pressure that's elevated through labs? So there's no one blood test that says you have high blood pressure, but labs that can support the picture include looking at like your blood count, your chemistry, inflammatory markers, knowing what your blood glucose is, like those diabetes markers, and some of those electrolytes like magnesium, potassium, and sodium, because these actually can balance your vascular tone. And then, of course, I need to talk about this is like a real moment talk. I want to talk about the market and some of the gimmicky products around. I've seen things like magnetic wristbands and pressure relieving socks and even miracle supplements, but they have no clinical backing. So, you want to try to spot these gimmicks, promises that have like immediate results, or using vague terms like, it's going to rejuvenate your arteries or reboots your heart. And if there's no citations, no real research behind it, or sometimes these high pressure limited time offers, you want to watch out for those. Also, there's the obvious, there's things that are practically like candy. Some of these beet chews, that if you actually look at the added ingredients, they're disgusting. They have sugar, they have seed oils, they have preservatives, all kinds of stuff. So please look at labels. I did a little bit of research for this, some good brands. There's a brand called Pure Synergy Organic Beet Juice Powder. It had no additives, it was freeze dried and had high concentration. So I really liked that product. I also love our ultra healthy blood protein detox powder, as part of our 21-day detox program or our 10-day reset, or you can just get it as an individual product. You can use this to make your daily shakes with protein and micronutrients, but this does have organic beetroot in it. And then there are some capsules on the market that seem to be okay. There, you can always have homemade beet juice. You always want to try to get organic, or if you're getting a packaged form, look for cold pressed, no additives, added sugar, and non-GMO. So be skeptical, be informed, and be proactive. Some key considerations are natural versus added sugar. High quality beet juices typically contain only natural sugars from the beets themselves without added sweeteners. Be aware of the serving size. Pay attention to the number of servings when evaluating the sugar content, because some bottles may have multiple servings, leading to higher total sugar intake. And looking at those product labels, always review so you can distinguish between natural and artificial flavors, and some of the blended juices, and then those additional additives. By choosing products with minimal or no added sugars and being mindful of serving sizes, you can enjoy the health benefits of beet juice while managing your sugar intake effectively. So, what are some side effects or risks of beets? There is something called beeturia, which is pink or red urine or stools, which is harmless, but it can definitely be surprising. It could look like blood in your urine. So, just be aware. did you just eat beets or have some of this beet juice? Also, high oxalate content. So it's not ideal for people prone to kidney stones. Also, people with MS, it has been shown that the high oxalate foods are not good for them. And then interactions with meds. If you are on a blood pressure med, adding beet juice can cause your blood pressure to drop. So just, make sure you're monitoring it and always consult with a provider before starting anything new like this. So I also want to point out, I like to kind of touch on what is RFK doing. I'm so glad that, we're finally seeing some changes in our healthcare system slowly but surely. I have much respect for him. He's been, he's long advocated for natural health solutions and transparency in medicine. And he's a strong voice in support of nutrition, detoxification, and moving away from over medicalization of chronic conditions. He publicly stated that conditions like hypertension are largely preventable through lifestyle, and I definitely agree with this. So how do we detox from the root cause? So as we know now, beets can help, but let's zoom out. How much sodium is in your diet? There's a lot of hidden sodium sources out there like sauces, soups, and processed foods. Also make sure you're having potassium-rich foods like avocado, leafy greens, and sweet potatoes. Get your body moving, daily walks, exercising. This is like natural medicine, and focusing on breathing, meditation, and good quality sleep. We've done a couple sleep podcasts now, which you should listen to for some tips and anti-aging information. But chronic stress is like, gasoline on hypertension fire. So please, be mindful and make sure you're controlling stress. And yes, beets can be part of the detox plan. They support liver function, they lower inflammation, and balance nitric oxide levels. So, as we talk about frequently, a good reset and there are beets in our detox program. So when you want that nice reset, it's interesting. I have had patients that go through the 21-day ultra healthy detox program. We've actually been able to take them off of their blood pressure medications because they have reset their inside, and we've safely brought down their blood pressure. So that's always so exciting and empowering for patients when they can get off medications. So my takeaways from this, beets are scientifically backed, a natural tool for reducing systolic blood pressure, especially in early hypertension. Nitric oxide from dietary nitrates improves vascular health and reduces blood pressure. Beets outperform other nitrate-rich foods due to their concentration, bioavailability, and synergy of nutrients. And just make sure you're consistent with use and lifestyle changes for real results, and check your levels. Make sure you're checking your blood pressure so that what you're doing is safe for you, and avoid these gimmicks. You need to look at the data out there and empower yourself. If you are looking for a change or an improvement in your health, introducing beets alone after we've gone over all of this. Also that doing a detox every so often, either a reset like a 10-day or 21-day, always so helpful for I know I put all my patients through it. So thank you for joining me for another episode of Ultra Healthy Now. If today's episode sparked your interest in achieving your maximum health potential, or you need help with blood pressure management, I invite you to contact us or visit us at ultrahealthynow.com. Explore our specially formulated supplements and ask questions, or suggest topics for the Ultra Healthy Now podcast, or you can schedule a consultation. Also, if you've been enjoying this content, please follow us on YouTube at Ultra Healthy. Where we will have more information and tips. And you can also follow us on Instagram under Ultra Healthy Human. And we will continue to put out new information. Join us at Ultra Healthy Human, where your health, beauty, and happiness begin from the inside. Visit ultrahealthynow.com to start your transformation today. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ultra Healthy Now podcast with Dr. Nicole Srednicki. To discover more, visit ultrahealthynow.com and jumpstart your wellness journey with our 21-day detox program, a total body reset, more energy, better focus, and weight reduction. Our carefully formulated, high-quality supplements will aid in a new level of wellness. Don't wait. Unleash the ultra-healthy human within you. At Ultra Healthy Human, Eastern and Western modalities are combined with cutting-edge technology to guide personalized health programs to help you tap into the limitless potential of your mind and body. Because true health, beauty, and happiness start from within. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this episode wherever you listen to podcasts.
And before we sign off, I want to make it crystal clear that the information presented here is for informational and entertainment purposes only. This episode should not be considered a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. And while we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, the content discussed in this podcast is based on general knowledge and research available at the time of recording. Medical knowledge and guidelines can evolve, and what we discussed may not always reflect the most current research or recommendations. If you have specific health concerns or questions, we strongly encourage you to consult with a qualified healthcare professional or a medical specialist who can provide personalized advice tailored to your unique circumstances. Every individual's health situation is unique, and what works for one person may not be suitable for another.
This podcast is a presentation of the Rich Dad Media Network.